Okay, Leslie, how are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, so Leslie, I would love for you to give us your full name, your position, who you are, what you do, the whole 12 years.
Sure. So my name is Leslie Ann Wills-Caton. I am currently the general manager of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Company, and it's really a film commission in Trinidad and Tobago that facilitates services to filmmakers internationally as well as locally. And we also assist with the production rebate. We have a production rebate happening, and any production that's coming to Trinidad and Tobago, we can assist you with customs, with immigration, helping connect you with fixers. Our job is really to provide that A-class service that you need for your production once you're filming in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, okay. So also the film commissioner, right? Okay, all right. All right, so I have a few questions.
Oh,
Yeah, I came very well prepared.
not a problem.
All right, so the first one I was really excited about, and this is it. How was the event with Richard Butto from Stage 32 last in September? I'm like, wait, I was like, no, Trinidad did not bring it. I'm like, no. I was like, how did I miss it? And then I was thinking back, okay, September 2019, my birthday. So maybe I also wrapped up around my birthday. And then, so I know I had a few things going on, but I was like, how did I miss this? How come I never see this? Because I would have traveled from now. I am at Stage 32.
You're actually absolutely, and you're in luck actually, because all of the stuff that they did is on our YouTube page. So we're putting up the entire videos on our film company page every Wednesday, so you can see all of the entire thing is there, and the information is really incredible. That was before I came in, but I actually was one of the presenters at that particular event. It really was one of those situations where you got a wealth of information from persons involved at Stage 32 because they have years of experience.
Yeah.
And coming and being right there, being able to ask questions was really something. As filmmakers in the Caribbean, it's now we can say, okay, so tell us what else do we need to do to, make that footstep or add a footprint into that industry internationally. It was really good. So check out
Oh
YouTube.
my gosh. And honestly, I tried to remember how I discovered them, but it was years ago. And I said, you know what, let me join the network. And since then, I must admit, I have been delinquent in some way. But since the shutdown though, I went and sort of updated my profile and everything. I was like, okay, I need to get back on. But it's so funny that the has actually COVID has actually let all of us realize where we are, how behind we are, even in the arts of filmmaking and things like that. So I am really happy that Mr. Richard was there. Was that the first time him coming to the Caribbean itself?
I think it was the first time coming to Caribbean, and they were, at least with Richard, we got at least I think about 10 or 12 of them who came down and cased a lot of information. Yeah, it was the first time.
All right. Okay. Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting him myself. I really am. I really am. Okay, so this is another question for you. The telecom company on Trinidad and Tobago, do they play a vital key for all film companies and theater companies, photography companies, and TV shows? And if so, what ways? Is it in cash and kind or both?
Right, so this is in Trinidad and Tobago, you mean?
Yes, in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, so once you come to the film company with a project, we can facilitate you. But this year has been a bit different for us, but over the years we have offered, I can say, millions of dollars in sponsorship and support. We've had a lot of different training programs. We've assisted persons in going to film festivals, the Caribbean Film Marts. So yes, over the years we have invested a lot of money in our creative sector. We support the film festivals, and normally if a filmmaker is coming to us with a really good idea and we have the funds available, we will support. And of recently, we launched an in-kind event where once you have a project in development or in pre-production, we can connect you with different companies and organizations to offer additional support. It's raining by me. I don't think you're hearing.
We had our rain 2 days ago, the tropical number 9. Thank God it went speedily. Thank God for that. So now we have our bright sun outside. So that's fine.
So in terms of like television stations and stuff, FilmTT doesn't directly go to a television station, but we can lobby on behalf of the filmmaker. We can lobby, so our job is more like a support agency as well. So if we're not offering funding, then we could connect you with the organization. We could have a meeting with our television stations and really kind of bridge the gap with filmmakers who aren't familiar with the process. So our job is to give as much information as possible. So we're very involved at that level.
All right. Okay. And as a film commissioner, because you're a film commissioner, if I'm understanding correctly, yes? Okay. What is your focus as a film commissioner? Is it locals and international, or international only?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Okay, yes, I'm hearing the downpour. I'm hearing the downpour. My question is, okay, all right. My question is, as a film commissioner, what is your focus on? Is it on locals only, locals and international, or international only?
It's both. So mostly as the film commissioner, our job is to go to different countries, to attend different film marts, and lobby and pitch Trinidad and Tobago as a destination. So last year we went to Focus, which was in England, and we met with, I think, over 100 different potential persons to come to Trinidad and Tobago to film. So as the commissioner, we will go to different locations, pitch Trinidad and Tobago as a viable film location. And of course, on the local level, we will also lobby and pitch for filmmakers to even co-produce with other companies and projects internationally or even regionally. So it's a twofold, definitely local and international.
Okay, the reason why I ask you that question, because I'm very familiar where film commissioners do not focus at all on locals that are on the country. They just focus with gaining international filmmakers to come on the island, and don't really have much of a key interest towards the locals. So that's why I ask you that question. And yeah.
Sorry, I will tell you, I understand that, but because I came from a filmmaking background, the intention, at least with me, is to definitely involve the local filmmakers as much as possible, because that is exactly where my foundation is. And I understand fully 100% the needs and concerns of local filmmakers, and that's where we want to be able to help the local filmmakers as much as possible as well. That's very, very important to me.
All right, but should there be a separation in any way? And
Sorry?
should there be any separation why a lot of film commissioners prefer to have their look different? It bothers me in some way.
I don't think it should be a separation. As a commissioner, the job, but you see, it's because it's twofold. As the general manager of FilmTT, that's where we're facilitating and assisting on the ground. As the film commissioner, the intention is to bring in the international persons to come in, because that's where you're looking at the funding. You're looking at the adding of the GDP, the international dollars. So that's what you're looking for from the film commissioner standpoint. So that's where the separation sometimes exists. But what I've learned over the years is a lot of local filmmakers do bring in international filmmakers as well. So once we show that we're supporting on the ground, then it can come still through FilmTT once you fill in our production inquiry. and we can assist. We could assist you with waiving your visa exemptions, with helping to bring in your equipment, dealing with police. You know, we facilitate on a lot of different levels, and it's always good having us as a support, whether local or international.
I noticed on your website that you have given details on incentives that you give for filmmakers. And if you can explore more about that for us, please.
Right, details with the percentages on the
Correct.
rebate?
Yes.
Right. So we have different levels of percentages. So once you're spending, for instance, US 100,000 to 500,000, you get a 12%, 9% of the expenses back. And then once you hire local labor, you get 20% back on your expenses. Now, to qualify for the rebate, did you see the production guide? We have the rebate guide that you can download.
I scanned through it. I did not read it thoroughly. And the meeting that we had not last week, week before, I went through it, and again, I went through it, but not in full details.
Right. So, but in order to qualify, because what we normally do, we have a facilitations officer who will connect with you and send you the list of requirements. But you do have to work with a local producer on the ground, and that producer needs to be a part of the project you're working on. At least 25% of the percentage of the product that you have, or at least, because remember, when you're coming in, you have to work with a company, a registered company locally, and that registered producer and that company will be going through, they will be logging all of the rebate expenses, and that's how you'll get the money back. So you can spend up to any amount, but you get at least the maximum of 8 million in terms of the rebate based on if it meets the qualifying expenditure.
Okay, so what about a local TV show? They may not have that, or wish this, or may not spend that X amount of money. What about them? Are there incentives for them as well too?
It's a deal for local productions. You can spend up to 15,000 US and you will get the rebates. And I mean, $100,000 on a television series is actually not a lot of money. So you can qualify at locally from 15,000 US dollars.
So my next question for you as well, is the TNT government set up where local arts is focused by the cultural minister and international is focused on the tourism, or is the minister of tourism focused on both? Let me repeat the question.
Yes.
Yeah, let me repeat the question. Local filmmakers, anything of the art and culture, is it focused on by the Minister of Culture only, or international film, is that focused under the Ministry of Tourism? Like you have the Minister of Culture, the Minister of Tourism, the different ministry portfolios within the government, or is it one government official focuses on all?
Right, so we're actually under the Ministry of Trade. So it's the Ministry of Trade that deals with the rebates and deals with productions coming in, whether it be locally or internationally. So that's where our governing body exists. And under trade, we have FIXERfilm and all of these other trade organizations that works with filmmakers.
Oh, okay, that is interesting. So not under the Ministry of Culture, not under the Ministry of Tourism, but under the Ministry of Trade.
Correct.
That is interesting.
Yes, and I mean, the intention with that, because film is a business and it's under, they see the film production as a trade organization as opposed to purely culture and purely tourism. But of course, all of these work very well and hand in hand. And normally, once a filmmaker is applying for funding, they will go to the Ministry of Culture and they will go to the Ministry of Tourism. But in terms of reporting with us as a filmmaker, it will be Ministry of Trade, which will go to planning, and then it will go to finance, and of course that's our order, our chain of command.
All right, that is really interesting. And so my question to you will be, given that it's trade How the Ministry of Tourism in particular, how do you work along with the Ministry of Tourism when you say, for example, advertising the country as a place to go in some way? How does the Ministry of Tourism work along with you?
All depends on the project, and we do have a really good relationship with our Ministry of Tourism. So once we, like for instance, when we had Love and Hip Hop, they came, I think it was 2018, we had an event, the Ministry of Tourism was involved, and a lot of times, even in getting access to different locations, we will go through the Ministry of Tourism, who would assist us with that, giving us clearances or even financial support, depending on the project. So the Ministry of Tourism is very much involved. Even like when persons are coming into the country, we do have a tourism desk, and tourism is sometimes the first person that they would come in contact with. So we all really work together at that level, depending on the project that's coming in. So it's not a strictly trade. It's how can tourism get involved in this project? We will definitely reach out. Just like with Tobago, because we have the Tobago House of Assembly. If we're filming in Tobago, we will definitely get support from Tobago House of Assembly. So it really depends on the project scope.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. And my other question to you is, how is it for you so far being a film commissioner? Are you the first female film commissioner for Trinidad and Tobago?
I am not. No, we had Carla Fortingham, and then we had Mika Luke, both females, and now myself, Leslie.
All right. And how is it for you so far?
Oh no, it's really been great. I mean, what I'm learning a lot with COVID, because remember the film commission side of it is to get persons to come to Trinidad and Tobago, and we do have a lot of interested persons, but due to the borders being closed, we've had to find very unique ways of at least still getting engagement on the ground to be able to still make content to get companies to involve and invest in our local filmmakers. But coming from a filmmaker background, that's nothing new to me. It's very, I live the art of being resourceful and being able to find ways to still, create content and get filmmakers and persons really involved in the process. So I'm actually, strangely enough, enjoying the challenge of what we're now dealing with and finding new ways to still allow us to create content. No. We do have an event coming up on the 6th of August with FilmTT, dealing with production financing. But we do have other organizations that do other things, but we're not doing what it is you just mentioned there. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Local filmmakers within the Caribbean, when they need to come to Trinidad for work, do we have to have access of a work permit, or do the CSME work down in Trinidad as well?
Yeah, that's what we deal with at FilmTT. So once you're working in Trinidad and Tobago for more than 30 days and you're coming to do a film project, we will offer you a visa, we'll waiver. So we'll do a work permit, we'll fill in your work permit, we can do an exemption of it. So that's where we facilitate that process as well as a filmmaker working longer than 30 days. Once it's before 30 days, and you don't need the work permits to operate in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, less than 30 days, you don't need it, but more than 30 days, you will need that. Photography. How are the photographers working along with the film commissioner? I'm not certain how Trinidad is set up, so I'm asking the question. Photographers, do they have their own association separated from FilmTT, or is it that they're on the FilmTT?
Photographers do have their own setup, but we've recently started to work alongside to see how best we can collaborate with photographers. But usually once we're working on a production, we would try to invite persons to do like the behind the scenes, to be the unit publicist, to work on that team, because we're always looking for additional persons to do behind the scene photography. We recently reached out to a couple of photographers when we did a familiarization tour, where we took persons around the country, international location managers around the country. We had photographers work on that project with us. So we do have a very collaborative relationship with Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, all right. And the
And you can
theater?
also register on our production directory as well as photographers.
Yes, right, right. Because I noticed on your site as well, too, you do have a section for directories, and that's where they will log in, sign up, and there's something that says as well to verify. You will also investigate who they are to ensure that they
All
are.
right. Yes, so once you fill in the form, then we will do our research as well. But what we encourage filmmakers is to form an IMDb account, as you would know, which is the international database for filmmakers. So that's where we encourage persons at least have an IMDb account. It makes it easier for us to verify information, but we will still check the different projects you've worked on. We may follow up with a producer to that resume, just to make sure and verify, because when international companies are looking for certain persons, we will recommend from the production database, because we can kind of guarantee that we know what the person is getting from this registered database.
Okay, and that also includes as far as TV personalities as well. They should also set up an IBMD.
Sorry?
TV personalities as well should also set up an IMDMB. IMDB.
Yeah.
I'm always
Yes.
mixing the two, always mixing the letters differently. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. If you've worked on a television series, a short film, a music video, a commercial, well, I'm not sure if commercials as much, but once you have any sort of body of work in terms of filming, you should, if you're interested in being a filmmaker or a producer, you should register your own brand on IMDb. And even if the production didn't list you, you can still now message the production to tell them to list in this category. Because internationally, even if anyone is coming to Antigua or Trinidad and Tobago, they are going to Google you to see what comes up. So we also encourage filmmakers to see what your name looks like when they Google, to make sure that they can verify that you're actually, based on who you say you are, that you work in that capacity as well.
All right. There's a question that came through, and let me ask you. Somebody concerning social media, in particular Instagram. Should they have the Instagram page flooded with details about what they do or don't? Because there's somebody that thinks that having an Instagram page and showing their works don't make any sense. But I'm thinking, if you want persons to see more about you, you use a social media platform. If you can explore more about that, please, the use of social media.
In terms of as a filmmaker?
As a filmmaker, yes.
Right. I mean, that I would think, this is just me as a filmmaker, the more we can see your body of work. But I would also suggest that there are specific platforms that the professionals look at, and those platforms will be the international database, and of course actual content that we can see, credits, and based on the credits we can see that if you're saying you're a cinematographer and we're seeing work on your personal page, which is fine. Do where is your content? If the content is your page and that's your brand and you have your registered business, which we encourage filmmakers to do, you should register your business. Even if you're a sole trader, as a cinematographer, as a sound boom operator, whatever it is, and your page is a reflection of, hey, I just worked on this particular production, or I just completed my first short film, or whatever the case may be, then your social media is now your brand for advertising. But if it is, we can't see your work in other places, then, I mean, it really depends on what you want out of the social media page. So do you have a social media page as a filmmaker?
Yes, I do have a social media page, yes.
Right.
Yes,
so, and of course, what we like to check out and see is that do you get work from the page? Do persons reach out to you and hire you based on what they're looking at? And if it's not working, then that's when you find other platforms to advertise, you collaborate with other filmmakers. So now you adding on to your reach and definitely making yourself searchable internationally, which is also good as well.
All right.
Part of Stage 32 is also really helpful too.
Yes.
Because they have chat rooms and you could introduce yourself and talk to persons, and that's also a really good platform as well.
Yes, yes. And you'll get flooded with a lot of information that can sometimes be overwhelming. Um, Insurance for film. You mentioned that in a meeting that we were in, and I need for you to explain that, please, because that is something new for me because I've never heard it. Can you please explain more about insurance for film, and if this goes as far as TV personalities as well who have their TV shows, please?
It goes as far as anyone producing anything ever under the sun should have insurance, to be honest. If you're a television host, though, the company that you're working for, they may have the insurance, not so? Because remember, and this is why film falls under trade for us. As a filmmaker, you're a business. As a business, you should have insurance. And as an individual, you should be insured. So it's not, we need to take the idea of, okay, film, and a lot of people see film as still being a creative platform, which it is, but then you need to start seeing it as a business, which is what it is as well. So for instance, and I can talk from the filmmaker standpoint first, once I'm working on a film, there's four main insurance that you should do. You have the equipment, because of course a company will, at least locally, I don't know how it is over there where you are, but once you're renting camera and of course the lenses, you have to insure that. That's a mandatory thing. They're not going to let you rent their equipment without equipment insurance. So that's one. And then you can do the workman compensation, or you can do so that's where you're doing insurance for your cast and your crew. Should anything happen, just like a normal business, you have workmen for normal businesses, then you will do insurance for that. Then you will do a public liability insurance. If you are filming in certain areas and something happens, then you have insurance to cover the space you're filming in. And of course, national standpoint, they have the errors and omissions, which is something that you will see where you're saying once you're working, once you've written this product, no one can sue you because this is your intellectual property. You take the idea from somebody else. I'm not telling Lawson's story, and Lawson didn't get my permission. So the errors and omissions document does that. So that's the four main insurance documents. And you cannot really get distribution unless you can show that you have this in place, at least from the major stakeholders. And that's where the distribution, the insurance element comes in. You have to show this is what would be a part of your production Bible. And the international distribution companies are asking you for your quality control checklist. That should be in your very thick chain of title documents.
Let me ask you this. When I say you, I'm not going to refer to FilmTT. Have anyone received a contract where the artist, let me be specific, an actor, an overseas actor, very specific says that if anything happens to them while they are performing, be it for a class session they may have been invited to, or for, to doing a film work there, that their laws of their country stand. What do you do in that instance when you get a contract that states such? If you don't know any of that? All right. I'm going to give an example where I remember I received a contract from an actor because I needed that actor to be a guest, and the actor made it clear within the contract that if anything happens, that the law of their land where they are from stand ground above my country of Antigua and Barbuda.
Right.
When I saw that, I said, nope.
That is regarding anything at all that happens within the production.
Repeat that.
What is that regarding to? Like when they say
that is regarding to, they were just inviting them as a guest to teach acting, not for filming itself. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, okay, then this must be the norm if they have to be filming. So I'm asking you if that is the same on your end.
Well, It depends, because if this was not actor, they might have
Yes.
an agent. You can do several
Yes.
different things when you got a document like that. You can counter contracts with your own contract saying that, you know, this is governed by your laws, or you can add in a clause based on arbitration. You can probably say you can offer arbitration based on someone from their country. So you can kind of come up with a relationship, but you don't have to take any contract you get and say, oh, this is exactly what I'm going to do. This is where the negotiation comes in, and this is where I would encourage persons to have a lawyer present to make those decisions for you. Because I can tell you anything. I can say you have to follow whatever I say, and that's me saying that, but you do not have to take that at all. So no, I've not come across their laws. A lot of the contracts that I've seen, it's usually based on the company in Trinidad and Tobago, because that's a registered company. If it's an international production, then of course, if it's the copyright and stuff like that, then the copyright will go towards the international production. But if you're filming in a country, then the laws of the country that you're in, and that's just the law, is what is mean state. So that's an interesting.
Yeah, I had two lawyers involved, plus somebody that I'm very close with in an insurance company, and it was about 24 to 28 pages, and just that alone, I was like, you guys don't even have to tell me anything. I'm saying no, but you know what? For protocols, you can review, look at it, and there as well to when they saw that, plus there were other things like, for example, that $1 million will have to be, I will have to pay $1 million US plus other things. I'm like, but I'm going to break my country, Antigua and Barbuda, because the government, where's the government going to find $1 million US? I was like, no. No.
But I mean, if they're asking, I mean, I'm not a lawyer as well, but if they're saying that the laws are governed by their particular country, how can they ask for money? Because whatever happens, it's under their laws. So I think they're compromising themselves by asking, by saying whatever their law states.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So it is interesting, and I brought that example because I needed to know from your end, you know, what is it that you may have seen through contracts that would have been presented to you from other actors or any filmmaker for that, because since your focus as well too, you want to bring in international filmmakers to Trinidad, and you know, it helps in some way that we have a balancing act on both sides. That's what I'm looking at. I want you, you want me, but at the same time, sorry.
Well, I'll tell you from FilmTT, that's not our job to look at contracts. That's the producer's job. Our job is FilmTT's facilitation, and once you meet the requirements, then and you qualify for the rebate, it goes to the rebate panel, and you'll get the money. So we're not in a position of looking and verifying contracts and making sure that that's the norm. The producer does that on their end, so that's definitely not us.
Okay. All right. I don't know if anyone on the team would like to ask any questions. Because anybody can ask questions. Free to ask questions to Miss Leslie. If anybody wishes to ask any questions. So in the meantime, Leslie, you can also give more details about how or can Caribbean countries get themselves enlisted on your directory?
Well, the directory is a local platform, but what we would love to start doing is forming relationships with Caribbean countries. So if you all want to be a part of or work with and alongside the Trinidad and Tobago film industry, we would love that, definitely. And I think that's something that we can discuss and say, okay, we're working with Antigua and Barbuda on a project. And at the FilmTT level, that's where we would want to then encourage filmmakers to maybe do an exchange program. So do you all have filmmakers that want to come to Trinidad and Tobago to work on a co-production locally? We can foster those type of relationships. That's where we come in with the different countries. How can we collaborate and work on different things together? So yes, of course.
Yeah, that would be fun. Honestly, that would be fun. And I think it might also be a bit easier as well to for Caribbean filmmakers. Well, us here in Antigua as well, we can come down and do some work without having all of that extra struggle.
We,
So
we, we invite you and would love to have all of you all over to Trinidad and Tobago. Once the borders open, we look forward. We can definitely, and I mean, I'm sure you guys have projects in the works. We do have a few projects in the works as well. And that's the best way to collaborate, because even when we started off, when we had the Home Again project, which is a major film coming from Canada, that's where a lot of the local filmmakers really got their feet wet on the industry standard. And that was in 2012. So it's really when you start working on more projects, whether it be international projects or large feature films, it's an amazing opportunity to start learning the industry norms, the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork involved in film that a lot of local filmmakers don't know because they haven't worked on the projects. And the more you do it, then the more experience you have. And what we've seen over the years is even when international companies are coming to look for filmmakers, and when I say filmmakers, but they're looking for different department heads or head of departments, and they look at the resumes, they're looking at your resume, they still expect to see a certain standard. And you need to communicate in the language that they're familiar with, else they will still bring in their international person, and you would find the local persons will be working mostly as maybe like a second AD, or the seconds, or a production assistant or drivers, as opposed to being an HOD. So you want to be able to have the experience, have the body of work, have your information listed internationally before they start to feel comfortable that they can say, okay, I want to work with this person as my head of department.
right. And you have a lot of, oh, sorry, repeat that.
No, I said yes, and really the experience is what they're looking at.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you have a lot of locals on the ground that always get preferences for any sort of filmmaking that is happening on the ground, be it as being an extra or whatever it is. So that helps to build up their credits as well too. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, because I mean, it's still a small industry, to be honest. So even if you're looking for, let's say, a script supervisor, we have currently one script supervisor on the island that works as a script supervisor. So if you do have even a local feature film being made, you will recommend this one script supervisor. So if you, and that's all we have, who's currently working in the capacity. So what I always encourage the local industries, find positions that there's a need for, and focus on that. You should specialize on certain things. And even it gets tricky because on an international level, I would have previously specialized in certain things. But locally, when you're working on your own production, your wardrobe, your casting, you do everything as well. So it's really twofold. You should be able to know how to do all of it, but also when the international companies are coming in, you should be able to say, this is what I do. I specialize in this. I've done this on X amount of productions. Here is the body of work that you can look at. And that's how they really feel comfortable enough to hire you.
All right. How involved with the fashion society within FilmTT? With costumes. Well, of course we call them costumes, but the dress, yes.
No, I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by how involved, but once we're working on a project, we do bring in a wardrobe person, a costume, head of department. On every single feature film we've done, we've hired fashion or costume or wardrobe. So I would say very involved.
All right, and okay, all right.
Yeah, because even if I have to expand, like when we did Pan, we worked with Mailing, who provided the wardrobe for Pan, A Modern Odyssey. So it's something we're very familiar with the job titles, and we work very well with who we have locally in terms of each department.
All right. Okay. What I'm loving that no matter what role you play in the arts, it could be a photographer, filmmaking, fashion designing, sorry, whatever it is, that FilmTT will ensure that everybody get a piece of the pie, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yes, because and what we are still trying to tell the government, or at least let them realize, is the film industry can employ hundreds of persons once you have a consistency of projects on the ground. Because even in terms of the location scouting, the transportation, the catering, teachers are hired, accountants are hired, doctors are hired. On certain films where we're filming, we have to have a doctor on set because we're in the bush, or we have a nurse, or we have, so when we get to let them see how all-inclusive the film industry is, then I think we'll get a bit more support moving forward when you realize no matter what job you're doing, you can actually work in the film industry. And that's the beauty of it.
That's a beautiful thing. That's good. All
All
right.
right.
So I think that is about it. Let me see if I had any other questions. No. Yes, I think that's about it with all the questions that I had. I see somebody that a TV personality that also have a TV show that has been running for where I think it's about 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
7 years the TV company has been running. It's called the Quarterly Show, and
Mm-hmm.
she's been having some good reviews on her. If you put it this way, she's a local Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, yes. So she is on CTV, which is a cable company that we have, and the reviews are fantastic. Unfortunately, the cable company that I am with don't show, so I am not able to say word for word what the show been like, except reading it on social media. What the
Mm.
what the feedback is, but yes, and I must say that one of the focus for me is that I want to have myself and the network with other filmmakers across the Caribbean and around, around the globe. Because what I realized in Antigua is that we have what it takes to be an actor or whatever part in filmmaking, but it's just that too we need to be ripened properly, if you understand that terminology,
Mm-hmm.
and be better prepared when we going to meet other international filmmakers that are going to come here, or even if when you decide to go overseas, that you have that training. So my focus is what I do. I'll bring down international persons within the film industry once a year to have classes with persons who are interested. So that has been my key focus in an educational point of view. There's things that I still have dreams that I like to do with the company, but it will take time, but it will happen. But in the meantime, it's a one-man shop for now.
And I mean, that's quite okay. A lot of us, we do our own projects and then we get the opportunity to work alongside an international production. But I think the consistency is still creating content and learning and growing and being okay with feedback and putting your stuff out there for persons to see it. Because we can say we're filmmakers and trust me, as a Caribbean person, I understand the doing every single thing. That's how a lot of time we don't get the funding. It's even what we've noticed is as we know, it's also challenging is getting the private sector involved in funding and investment. And we know a lot of the reasons because of that is the return on the investment, or our ability to not show the return on the investment in the way that they would like. So, it's still a work in progress. Small industries still trying to show the value of investing in the film industry. So I definitely applaud everything that you all are doing as well, because it's a lot. It's a lot that goes in place in terms of creating content and really selling ourselves as industry professionals. So, but we're here, however you want us to support. You just send a message, you can call, and we will definitely, in any way possible, support as well.
All right, all right.
Good afternoon. My name is Paula C.M. Lee, and as Francoise Bowen was saying, I'm the executive producer and host of The Paula Show. And as she rightly said, the program started in 2013. So on about the 3rd of September, we will be celebrating 7 years of broadcast. So I'm very active on social media, the gram and the Twitter, and my Facebook is active. In addition to that, I am generally invited to radio programs. So I straddled the fence so that I could get the best of both media. What I am concerned about on social media, people are generally asking, don't you post your shows to Facebook Live? And I do have a YouTube page, a YouTube account, The Paula Show. But I'm concerned about, what should I call it? I'm concerned about people actually using my content as their own.
So my thoughts would be, because you would have had content from before. Do you own the rights to your content?
Yes, over 320 shows thus far. I mean, programs thus far.
So what I would suggest is that even on your page, you start launching, showing the previous shows. That's already out there. It's been done before. And because what you're realizing now, even like with the Red Table Talk with Jada and the social media has taken on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And well, if they don't see you on social media for some odd reason, it's like you don't exist, which is now the new normal. So for me, I would love if the Paula Lee show, we would start seeing maybe recaps from day one or that period, and you build your brand, you get persons
on social media.
On social media, but
we have a few shows on YouTube.
So use YouTube then, because YouTube you can monetize. I know we recently started signing a document. We're signing a signature list where we're asking to monetize YouTube for the Caribbean. So once you get persons, so you put up the previous shows, you get companies and the persons who were in those previous shows to sponsor that particular post. So we're going to do a yesteryear review, get those persons to pay for the sponsorship of it, and digitize, use SEOs, use all of these different new age tools where the minute you're searching, you're seeing the Paula Lee show coming up, and person will start to say, okay, who is this? What's happening? And you would channel everyone to your YouTube page. And when we've seen all of these previous shows, you should have a huge building online, which is what, at least from my personal experience, sponsors are looking now at your data, how many persons you have following you, what target audience. And when you build that, then you introduce your new content. But we would have seen you have a body of work, and sponsors like to know that, okay, for the next 4 years, you could actually be running content that the rest of the world has not seen, but you've already filmed it. And that's where moving forward. And then you can actually now launch your own live online show where it's your complete brand, and companies are investing in you more than just a network. And that's where, and honestly, even what I've seen now based on COVID, a lot of persons are trying to find out now, how can I put value on my brand as opposed to companies, because we're losing that. I wouldn't say we're losing that in terms of internationally, but as an individual, my brand needs to make money for me. I no longer want to be affiliated with any brand because I could lose my job tomorrow. So how can Paula Lee become her own brand where companies are giving you the sponsorship money and not the network? And by doing that, you can have your own social media channels running previous content I would love to see your shows. And I mean, yes, the piracy may happen, but it's still your face they're seeing. And if we see somebody coming up with it now, what we've learned recently is social media, somebody will say, no, but look, Paula did that in 2010 or whatever the case may be. And you have now advocates on your behalf because you've built an online cult following. And that's where I would suggest moving forward. Online is definitely where you should be, and be bold with it. And with regards to the wearing of the wardrobe, Kate Middleton repeats her outfits.
Oh, well, yes. I noticed that in some instances. So maybe I need to not be so concerned about the piracy, because that's the only factor that has kept me from promoting the show to a wider audience on social media. The other point, you made a point about the network. In my case, a network doesn't control my content.
Oh, perfect.
My content is my content. So what happens, my
Perfect.
sponsors advertise via the Paula show. So I offer them advertisement, and then not only via the show, because I realized the shortfall of not being on other cable networks, but
Right.
like I said, I twin it with radio. So I can do radio. Sometimes I'm doing radio for 2 hours, and I find creative ways to promote my sponsors via the radio program. So if I'm making let's say a statement about a grocery store, I'll say, so you know when you go to Epicurean and shop, Epicurean is a sponsor of my show. So right there and then I'm creating that message in the listener's ears that Epicurean is the place to shop. If I'm speaking about paint, I call them. And if I'm speaking about hairstylists and cosmetology, I speak about the people who contribute to my show. And it's an understanding that I will do that. So nobody bothers me. They know exactly what I'm doing anyway. And that works for me. And I suppose I should tell you as well that I worked at Cable and Wireless for about 25 and a half years, and I was the company's corporate communications manager. So the Paula Show is a platform that offers me additional publicity, because while working at Cable and Wireless, it started there. The TV, the radio, you know how it is. So,
Yes. But what I would say then, if you're going online and you tell your sponsors you're going online, they would definitely support. Because even if now you become an ambassador for Antigua and Barbuda, you can now link it with tourism, saying when you're online, your audience is now in billions, literally. You could now, every time you say something, you're not just talking about the grocery store, but have you been to Antigua? We have the best this, we have the best, we're XYZ, and now you're now this huge Caribbean ambassador, really now becoming the Oprah of the Caribbean, because you do know we don't have that as yet. And because you have such an amazing track record, by going online, I think you should go first and claim, you know what I say, claim your space.
yes.
Claim your
Yes.
because it's coming, persons are coming out. I don't know if you know Lisa Wickham. She just started a World Talk series where she went online, starting to interview persons from different countries as well. And even at the Paula Lee level, once you're online, you can interview persons internationally from the Caribbean, really becoming the Paula of the Caribbean. And stamping your foot, do it now. It's because COVID is really showing persons we need to be online. And owning that demographic internationally, talking to tourism, talking to the Caribbean, it's a definite win-win for you.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. Not a problem. I'm excited. I look forward to being tagged.
I'm excited too. So we will have to continue speaking. Ms. Bowen, thanks for this connection.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's the reason why I'm doing these series, because I'm quite aware that we need to have that bigger network outside of our little network that we have. So Leslie, thank you so much as well for,
Not a problem.
okay, I think, let me see, I think I saw, okay, all right, so here's a comment. Good afternoon, all. Apologies for not being able to verbally speak. My system mic is not enabled. However, I am really enjoying the discussion and the topic overall. I truly think we have potential here in Antigua and the wider region, this area of film production. But I also think we have to leverage what is available to us in terms of technology, especially via all social media platforms, for instance, and most importantly, each other partnership. Yes, that's a comment from one of our viewers on that is
Hi,
online.
Michelle. No, I
Michelle.
definitely agree. Michelle, do you work in the film industry currently?
If
Let me know
I'm
Her
yeah,
mic
what
is
she does.
disabled.
yeah, her mic is right. I know that where she works is within the Ministry of wait, I think it's legal affairs, somewhere in that
She's in the
area.
Ministry of Trade,
Oh,
see? And
Ministry of Trade, yeah. Something like that.
well, that's exactly where we live in film, in the Ministry of Trade. And I definitely agree with you. We partnership, which is great. So I would love then to collaborate Ministry of Trade to Ministry of Trade to showcase how we can definitely get some level of distribution, whether we get Trinidad content Antigua, Antigua content in Trinidad. And really, you know, and it's just those little wins that we can start off with to say, look, we can form a really good relationship with Antigua and maybe they're based on a particular content that we're looking for, or how can we now get the Paulally show showing on our platform to show that relationship that we're building. So yeah, I agree. Definitely, let's see how we can collaborate and show the both countries how we could work together and film as the forefront of us collaborating.
I want to end off with something that there's something that I was in the meeting with a gamer influencer, and he said this: how producers can enter the games. This is the game side, and the music standpoint is such a saturated market. Have a unique way how you price your production. But this is something that he said very very serious. Do not fall for the line. I will not pay you for the product, but will promote you. I think you're laughing, Leslie. You are laughing, so you know exactly where we're coming from with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He said it is a lie. If somebody don't want to pay you for your work, they don't value you. You'll make more money doing your own promotion. Don't devalue your product. I totally agree with him. There are too many times persons, you're laughing, but you know the true story. You know the story of that. Oh yes, I will promote you. I will give you all this exposure. Okay.
So here's my answer to that question, because of course over the years I have done a lot of those. I have done a lot of work for free, and I've also been paid for a lot of my work. But going forward, I would encourage persons to still sign a contract if you're saying you're doing it for free, and you put in certain clauses. So you can, for instance, say, I would like maybe a 2% return on the back end once your production is making money, or I would like, maybe you might not pay me now, but 6 months from now, I want X amount of money, because clearly your product should be successful at that point in time. So yes, I'll do it for free for now, but I want deferred payments. So there are ways you could talk to the person to say, if you really want me, you can pay me a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, right? Instead of saying it's absolutely 100% free. And if I can go back and talk to my younger self, that is what I would advise younger self to say. I would, because at the end of the day, you do need the experience as well. I've done projects solely to learn certain skills. And even when I made it my duty, I wanted to work on at least 10 feature films to be able to understand. That's where I wanted to do my 10,000 hours in terms of working in film. And I've done more than 10 features. I've done several shows. I've done a lot of different content. So I do have a very in-depth knowledge of the film production on the back end. So I know now what to ask for and how to say things and the paper trail that's involved. So tell them, no, that's fine, defer the payment, a percentage on the back end. And if they're still telling you no, then they clearly do not value you. But if they say, you know what, that's a great idea. 6 months from now, I can assist you with that.
But then that's going to be a written agreement, a contract,
Yeah.
as opposed to word of mouth.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Do not work on any production at all without a contract or any document saying that you want that project. Because I just kind of changed locations a bit.
Yeah.
Because in order for production to get distributed, they still need your content, they still need your signature saying that you give permission. So you should not work on any project without a contract. And that's where even the insurance comes in. Because if I'm saying, yes, I'm working for you for free, you don't have insurance on the project, something happens to me or something happens to my equipment, I am now out of work, I'm out of commission, my source of income is compromised and I'm not getting paid, that's definitely not advised. So contracts, deferred payment, royalties, there are a lot of things you can say and ask for moving forward. And that's why in terms of trade, we push that film is a business.
Right.
And you have to be thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur.
Right. All right. And I think that is actually a good way of ending this. Leslie, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And thank you as well to Mrs. Lee and to Michelle and Lawson and everyone that was on this program. And it was really educational and extremely eye-opener. A lot of things that I personally can say I wasn't aware of, and see, okay, look at how I can market myself or be available or get myself involved more, even down in Trinidad. Trinidad can help Antigua. Now we made trade in Antigua, now trade, so you see, I mean, this, I'm really grateful and I'm thankful for those who as well. I mean, thank you for accepting the invitation to come on this. I appreciate this as well. All right, so a million thanks. Leslie, if you could just give us the website address for FilmTT and where and the different addresses as well, to where you can be found on social media and things like that. You can do so.
Sure. So the website is www.filmtt.co.tt, and on social media we're at Discover Film TT. So we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and of course we're on Facebook.
All right. All right.